Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 12 here in the EMC to the Sky playthrough. I've been doing some work behind the scenes a little bit, doing some upgrading. And first of all, I want to show you that I have taught our system how to make these components. So let's make some real quick. I'm doing 38 of them at a time because that's what I need to upgrade an entire row in my power plant. To do these, basically, everything was in here except for with signalum and barium ingots, and lumium. There is no EMC for it. So everything else I've just been pulling out of the EMC when I need it. And these three particular, I just used the stuff that I had to make seeds, and I added a section here for crops that I'm growing for resources. So they grow pretty quick. I get a lot of essences, and I taught the system how to use the essence to craft the ingots that I need, and then I taught it how to do everything else. So now what we're doing is we're upgrading each of these dynamos in all the different rows here of our power plant. And it's just a matter of going through and turning them all into the resonant versions of themselves, which quadruples. Actually, I think it's more than that. No, it's quadruples their power. And there's a creeper there. Hi, buddy. Heard that music. I knew there was a jukebox nearby. There's a jukebox creepers. He spawned because of this. Put it in the middle. The other thing we had to do to upgrade this power plant was increase our EMC link. So the EMC links are just tiered up, so you just keep creating them higher and higher. I actually went and made it all the way up to blue, which is as far as I can go. But I just needed the level 4 here, the magenta, for the process here. And since EMC is, I'm not low on EMC, but I am limited on EMC. I didn't want to put something there that is pumping out way more than I need. So that is more than enough to pump out enough lava to keep all of these flowing. And now we have all of them running currently at 160 apiece. So we have 38 of them times 4 times 160. We're producing 24,320 power. And this thing maxes out at 24,000. So we are now gaining power in here again. We are, however, pumping in 24,000 and pulling it out immediately. And that means that we are not taking advantage of our power grid potential, because this one's putting out 24,000. These are each putting out 6. So that's 36,000. The most we can pump out is 32,000. However, that means we're maxing out the power on this line, which is what my goal was. I got that going. Now these crops are growing as fast as they possibly can. And that is good. We have all this stuff filling up. This will take forever to fill up, but that's fine. I want it to do that because then we have plenty of essence. Over here, the same thing. These things are growing as fast as they possibly can and producing us tons and tons of resources. When they get to the point where they're full, then I think that they will overflow, and then these will stop. So they'll stop consuming power when there's nowhere for the items to go. Because these do have an internal buffer, even though you can't access the inventory. So that'll be fine. We're just going to let it keep trucking along and getting us lots and lots of resources. The other thing I've been working on in between is just getting through some of the quest lines to do some of the things that we've already started, and then we're just finishing going all the way up through the tiers. So let's take a look at refined storage, for example. I've gone through and I've crafted all the parts up to the point where we're stopped right now. So when we go in here and we look at parts, I have taught the system the recipes for both fluid and regular storage parts all the way up to infinite. And if I were to try to queue up the infinite, it's going to tell me that we're missing stuff. First of all, we're missing a bunch of ingredients because we need to craft the higher tiers. But we also are missing these withering processors, which we don't have yet. The reason we don't have those yet is because withering processors require nether stars, and we haven't gotten to that part yet. So we'll get there, but we have gone through the quest book, and we've gotten everything that we can craft crafted. So we just need to craft the final parts here, and then we'll craft the infinite parts too once we get to that point. But that means we can max out our storage capacity for our refined storage system, which is great. We need to do the infinite range booster, but again, this requires nether stars and netherite ingots. We don't have that quite yet. And finally, the same thing with the transmutation interface. This one we will get to sooner because we know how to make the purple EMC links now. We know the alchemical chests, and we know the transmutation tablets. We just need to get to the tier 3 medium resource capsules, which we're going to do very soon. The same thing here goes for Project E. I've just been working my way up, making the higher tiers of matter. I got us up to cyan. I worked my way up through the fuel to get to blue, and that allowed us to make the blue EMC link. So these are all dependent upon each other. These require cyan matter, which requires the fuel, and so you basically work your way across and keep going through, going down. But if you look at the higher levels, they need a crazy amount of EMC to craft. This is 582 billion for each one. We're not at that point yet. We'll get there. The next thing I wanted to do is work on the couple of items down here. So we have the Swiftwolf's Rending Gale. This is something I think I can produce right now. So let's go in here, and we need to the Rending Gale. We need to craft an iron band. And before I forget to do it, this is teachable in our system. And then we need to take that, and we can surround it by feathers and black or dark matter. So dark matter. And then we need feathers. Oh, getting a little bit of lag. I think that just having trouble catching up to all the things we just did. Not a problem, though. So we have created the Rending Gale. So that's marked off in here. Now this, I haven't used this in a while, but I'm pretty sure it just goes on a ring slot. Maybe? Yeah, there it goes. Let's look at it again. So shoots lightning at nearby mobs, activates every 3.5 seconds. So I kind of want to find some mobs. Wonder if it works on passive mobs. Probably not. Nope. Let's go down here. I'll make some mobs. Oh, nothing yet. I think it'd be pretty easy to get mobs to spawn. So there's nowhere else for them to go. Make a bigger area. That's not a mob head. It's those little green guys up above. Yeah. Thanks for being our experiment, Mr. Spider. Doesn't seem to be working. I guess you have to put it on a pedestal. I thought it would work on us. Not a big deal. But anyway, we got that done for the quest. And let's check out the Kleinstar Iron. Kleinstars are used to store EMC, so this is really easy to craft. We just need Mobius fuel, And we need a diamond. And there we go. That gets our quest done. And so this quest book is pretty much complete except for finishing up the different tiers here and then also making the Watch of Flowing Time, which we have to get to green matter before we can do. The Watch of Flowing Time, you put it on a pedestal and it basically speeds everything up nearby so that it goes super fast, which will be good for some of our end game thing, keeping us from having to craft forever. These Klein stars, let me pull this up here. The Klein star is also a tiered thing where you can keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a way to store EMC. I don't know that we're going to need to use this in this playthrough because this is mostly used in when you use the flower power method, because you need this to store the massive amount of EMC, and the flower stuff for EMC has been disabled in this pack, mostly because once you get to the point where you can craft these, you can do infinite EMC pretty quickly, and that kind of defeats the purpose of pack working your way up through it. I guess we will need to make Klein stars if we want to do the armor and stuff from Project E, which we probably will do at some point. Teach it to this, put it away for now. But that's a way, basically a way to take EMC from your network and then put it into other items, and that is the purpose of it. So the next thing I want to do, we do have a bunch of other stuff to do in these quests, but we're at the point where a lot of them we need to get to tier 3. For mystical agriculture, we can't go any farther without tier 3. I think the end was limited on that too, maybe not. But there are a couple in here. This is limited by us getting some stuff that we need from tier 3. A lot of things just require us to get into tier 3. So we're going to jump ahead from chapter 2 and go to tier 3 resources and start working on making the tier 3 resource generator and get started with that. I'm going to go and get set up, and then we will get started to do that. Step into getting to tier 3 resource generator is actually making the resource generator. And I kind of like how they've done this. This is set up so that you have to craft a bunch of different things that are from the resources you get in tier 2, or you can craft the tier 3 resource generator, including a tier 2 resource generator. So I've gone ahead and created them: blaze mesh, silver, gold, diamonds, quartz, glowstone, and nickel, all of which I had or had EMC available to do it. And so I'm able to make our first tier 3 resource generator. These are EMCable. So once we have them, we have them. Next thing we want to do with this is we need to create a tier 3 mini catalyst in order to make it. So that's going to require us to make the tier 2 compressed agglomerate. We did this before when we made the tier 3 or tier 2 one. So let's do the agglomerate just to see the recipe. So we need to make this here. So we're going to need compressed blaze, we're going to need compressed nickel, compressed diamonds. So it's basically all the things that we just used to craft the resource generator, but now we need compressed ones. And then when we go to make it, we need to make 8 of these before we can do it. So I'm going to get several of these made up so that I can do it, but I'm going to do it off camera because these are all EMC items, which means I can just grab them all out and pull them in, and that'll be pretty tedious of pulling all those items out. So I'll get everything together, and then we'll get the catalyst set up, and we'll see what the tier 3 resource generation is like. Gotten all these compressed blocks made up, and I've taught them all to our system so we can make them again, but now we have a tier 2 agglomerate, and that means that we have the ability to EMC that, and we can grab 8 of those, so it takes a good chunk of EMC to do that. And then what we need next is a tier 2 catalyst. Actually, I want to do that. Or tier 2 mini catalyst, the one that talking about. And then all we do is we take one of the catalysts, we surround it with these, and we get our tier 2 compressed agglomerate. So let's take a look and see again where we're at. So for tier 3 catalyst, we need to take a compressed agglomerate and we need to run it through our metal press plate with our immersive engineering metal press. Means I need to finally set that back up again, which I was supposed to do quite a while ago. All right, we made our first tier 3 mini catalyst. I just set up our metal press up here and ran some power wires from our water wheel up. It looks like okay. I may have to do some more work to make it look a little better. But put our agglomerate in and we ran it through and got our first tier 3 mini catalyst. So this we can teach our system. And as long as everything else is working the same as it has in the past, just come in here to set this up, test it. We're going to put this here, and this will take 100 seconds or 100 ticks. And so 5 seconds, and we'll get some resource capsules for tier 3. So tier 3 unlocks some things for us. So let's take a look at that, see what those are. So if we were to look at the uses for this, we can get into aluminum, we can get emeralds, we can get uraninite, we can get uranium, we can get platinum, osmium, and so those are all the different metals we can get from it. It also gives us the ability to do several things that we have been holding off on doing because we needed tier 3 to do it. And so that is in mystical agriculture. We need that to get to this stage, which means that we can finish up that chapter. And it also means that we'll be able to do some really crazy EMC generation because we're going to be using the catalyst at the large catalyst to produce large items that have EMC and generate them using the farms that we have set up in the past. So that is pretty awesome. It also means that we can move on in some of our other things here that we needed. We need more EMC, which will help us with doing that. For our dimensional resources, we needed the tier 3 in order to get to the point where we can do the advanced capsules. So lots of different things that we can now unlock. But the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take this tier 3 resource generator. Now that I have access to all the things I need for it, and we're going to go down here and we're going to set up a system just like we did with our previous ones that allows us to generate EMC using the tier 3 resource generator and some catalysts, and we can start getting some higher level EMC generation going on. I built another EMC generator using the same thing we've done with tier 1 and tier 2. This time I did just a little bit of upgrades to it. It's powered with magma, the magmatic dynamo, and lava, just to make it easier than the coal. I probably could swap those out later if I wanted to. I also, the sequential fabricator, I put in a resonant integral component, means that it is able to process this stuff very, very quick. I could also probably do that to upgrade some of this stuff so that we don't have to have so many machines. We can just have one that's processed super quick. When you use the tier 3 shards, you can make different things. You can make aluminum, uranium, emerald, platinum, osmium, and uraninite. I taught all these things to our system, except for uranium, which we have to craft manually if we want to do that. So where is recipe? There we go. If we want to craft it like that, we'll have to do that. We can set something up if we need uranium for stuff, but we'll see. I don't know if we'll even need it. So that is all done. And then what I decided to do, I went through to figure out which one would be the most resource efficient, using the fewest tier 3 resources to get the most EMC. And it was pretty much any of the metals. So I just did osmium. So osmium, this is making osmium, turning it into blocks, injecting it into the EMC link. I think I could probably take this part out because I'm able to keep up with it fast enough now that the nuggets going in. In fact, let's just do that. I'm going to test it anyway. If I just put that there, and this is set to automatically push out, this should go out, and it's basically the same. Save step. This took pretty much all the EMC I had to build this system as the size that it is, but it's fine. It'll rebuild quickly. The next step I want to work on is, now that we have collected all these essences, I want to work on changing out these catalysts to higher tiers. So to do that, you just take one of these, and it takes a stack of each of the essences that you get from the seeds from the tier 1 resources. Oh, did I do that incorrectly? Oh, that's right. We need to do it in the catalytic converter. So that means we need to make the catalytic converter. So we're going to have to make a bunch of different things here. Bio resource generator, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, dimensional resource generator. We have all those in the EMC system, and the bio catalyst we do as well. So let's take our stuff here, and we'll pull out our resource generators. So we need one of these, basically one of each kind. Grab that one twice. And then we need one of each kind for the catalyst as well. So let's just look for catalyst. We have 1, 2, and I think that we may have to just pull one of these out for 3 because I don't have enough EMC to make it at the moment. And that's fine. That means we need to make this object. So let's do space too large. I'm in a 3x3. Let's just do it manually. So it's, I don't know if it matters where I place them, but let's put this, 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 this. Then we do the catalyst, and then we needed the bio catalyst. Do that again. This one goes there. Tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. It looks like it is important. Wait, so it's bio, and then 1, 2, 3, and then the dimensional. Bio, 1, 2, 3, and then the dimensional. Here, 1. Oh, these are probably dependent. There we go. So now if we put this down, all we need to do is put in tier 1 catalyst, one of each of these, and it takes a little bit of time, and we get a tier 2, tier 1 catalyst. Then we can take that and combine that, and we get a tier 1 large catalyst. So when we're using these catalysts, take a look. We get large resource capsules, which we can then use to create blocks of these. So when we're converting this over, it's going to take some time because we need to pull out all the catalysts here. We need to collect shards, and one at a time. I don't like this model doing it, but whatever. We'll have to convert them over to the large catalysts, which means the seed or the essences that we were collecting, and the reason why they suggested we get them going very, very early is because once we make those catalysts, we can't EMC them. So if we want to expand, we need a stack of these every time. So right now, let's look at the essences. We have looks like the one that's the lowest is 74. which means we can do like 74 of this catalyst up to, actually, I mean, yes, you need one for each round, so it'd be like 37 going up to large, which is pretty great because we've been doing this for a long time, which means we need to get these seeds working quickly if we want to get into tier 3 to do it as well. But I'm going to work on collecting all of the modules out of here, and then we're going to rebuild this system based on large catalysts, and that way we can increase the EMC from it. And I'll do some calculations so we can figure out exactly how much that's going to be. Our old tier 1 resource generator system is using the small catalyst, the mini catalyst, and it was generating 7.68 EMC per second for each tier 1 generator we had in here. This one is generating a large catalyst. We're making blocks of iron out of 3 of them. So 3 of them makes 2,304, which means that as each one of these takes 5 seconds to generate, if you do the math, we're generating 153.6 times EMC for each tier 1 resource generator. So this system is now 20 times faster than the one that was in its place. And that'll scale up for these too. These will also be 20 times faster when I can get to the higher tier resource generators. What we need to do though is get the essences for them. And so the process that I've been doing here is I put down 4 more of these. I set them for input, and I have to go pick up the things that I've been crafting because I don't have wireless capability to reach that far. And if we go in and look, I now have 4 more of these made, and I set it up for auto crafting, which I will show you in just a second how we manage that. And then we come back down here and we put these in, and that expands our system. And remember, each one of these crystals that I put in adds 20 EMC per second to our system. So we can keep expanding this pretty full, and that'll give us more. Once we get to the point where we're generating the higher tier stuff, the osmium nuggets, they're only 384, but because they're because we're generating them so much quicker than we are over here, we're going to be generating more. The math will work out. We'll get to that. But what we need to see next is how we did the crafting to make these catalysts, because they're not EMCable, which means we have to craft them. And I don't want to craft by hand. I want to auto craft. So our network has the essence in it, our refined storage network. So over here, I have a crafter that's pointing into the catalytic converter, and then an importer that pulls it back in. So these recipes just are for the tier 1 catalyst. It's 64 of each essence, and 1 mini catalyst makes a tier 1 catalyst. So it injects that stuff in, and then it comes back out through the importer, and we have our tier 1 catalyst. And then we have one that takes the catalyst and adds 64 more, and we get a large catalyst. So when I go in here and I queue up for a large catalyst, we can see here it's already injected everything we need. It's making the catalyst, and then it's doing it again, and it's making the large catalyst, and that'll put it in our system. So let's do 3 more of those. And then all we have to do is wait for this to finish generating. Oh, that's a problem. We may have to be more careful about when we're injecting stuff to our system. And let's see how this works out. Actually, it may balance itself out in the end. Pull these out. Did not think about that being an issue. So I think if we go in here, crafter mode, I think that there's a way to make it so that this is on blocking mode. It only puts it in one at a time, but I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head. I'll have to look into that and get that set up. But basically now we can craft the catalyst as long as we're not queuing too many at a time. I think it should be okay. I think it was just injecting stuff too quickly, so it ended up causing us problems. So now we have 4 more. I can go put down another tier and increase the amount of EMC we're generating from the tier 1 system. The tier 2 and the tier 3 are all the same. They just use different materials. So now I have to set up the tier 3 seeds, just like I did these seeds. And then I have to set up the auto crafting for it. And I will slowly expand that system until we have a really huge amount of EMC generation. So just like everything else in this pack, it's kind of a tiered thing. You unlock the access, you just keep building up to get it to go faster and faster and faster. So I'm going to do that kind of stuff off camera, get it all done. The next thing we can do, the huge thing that we can unlock, is that in refined storage, now that we have tier 3, assuming we get the resource capsules from it, we can craft this transmutation interface. And what this does is it makes it so that our system, our refined storage system, will be able to interface with our transmutation device, which means we won't need to have systems like this where we're importing large amounts of glass to store in the system for the auto crafting. It will be able to just pull it out of the EMC network. And that is a big step because it basically unifies our two systems. Right now we have a lot of things where they're made with EMC. I have to pull them out, put them into the refined storage system, and then do the auto crafting. It will be able to auto craft using EMC, which is a huge step towards the end of the pack. So we're going to work on that in the next episode. And for now, I'm going to leave you, and I'll work on getting all the things caught up to that we've learned today so that we have all those essences growing and we can get the catalyst moving along. But I hope you enjoyed watching this one, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.